Hi there, I'm Dr. Ian McDonald, Director of IT at Swiftkey. We're a company that provides the #1 selling Android app, have just launched a iOS app and specialise in machine learning and natural language processing. And I'm here today to talk to you about the cloud. Where has it come from, where is it going to, and to talk in general about how things are going. So I've worked with cloud now for quite a few years, for at least 10 years now before it was called the cloud, and then it's seen the whole industry evolve. It's been a very interesting journey as you see the people come in like Google, Amazon, Salesforce that have come from nowhere and disrupt the industry in that space. You've seen some of the traditional firms really struggle. IBM and HP have had a go at it but have actually really struggled, and some that have actually adapted better than I would have guessed, such as Microsoft, for example, with the whole Azure and more lately the Office 365. So people are aware of the cloud today. They've probably got their fingers in different pies getting things going, but they're sort of not sure whether to commit whole loads of production services into the cloud. I've spent the last 3 roles that I've worked in changing over services to the cloud and have been very successful there. We've changed to Google at several companies, we've put in Salesforce and put in Amazon, and it certainly 5 years ago when I started doing that at Symbian it was a bit rough, but is now getting very mature and is ready for deployment into the market. I think there are huge opportunities. By best estimates, probably 5 to 10% of servers maximum are in the cloud right now. Software as a service is starting to gain a bit more traction. You're starting to see people use Gmail and Office 365 for the Office suite, but that's still probably only about 10 to 20% maximum of the uptake in the market. So people think, well, the cloud's done, let's hope for the next trend. But it's like virtualization was 5 years ago. People said, well, virtualization, it's all hype, it's all settled down now. But at that stage it was only 10 to 20% of people on virtualization, where there's now about 60%. And virtualization is a precursor to the cloud, really. It's sort of the first steps to get there, because you've got to divorce yourself from being worried about big hunks of tin that you're running. So there's a huge opportunity for many people, both enterprises and service providers, because as I say to people say to me, aren't you worried about Amazon being the dominant infrastructure as a service player? And I say, well, right now they're probably about 70 or 80%, but that's 70 or 80% of 5% of the market, so you've still got that other 95% of the market still to go and still to see where it goes. Now, you're starting to see some companies who did get it wrong, like IBM. They got it wrong and they were brave enough to admit that they basically got it wrong, and then they chucked away what they had, started again with purchasing SoftLayer, and seemed to have a fairly credible offering for people who like to use large integrators. And that's, it's not too late in the game for companies to want to reinvent themselves like that, because there's still that 80% of the market in software as a service or 95% in infrastructure as a service. So it is still very early days. But I think you're going to start to see the time come when people are going to say, I'm just absolutely not putting any more servers or services into my own data centers in the enterprise. In my immediate previous role, we started to take that as a philosophy, and in my current role as Director of IT, we didn't have much in the server room as part of being a startup, although a startup had been going for a while. But even then, with the half dozen servers I've got, I want to shift those out and add them to the hundreds I've got running in Amazon. So you're going to start to see companies evolve. I think there's going to still be a challenge to the big companies that are traditional computing ones. You look at VMware at the moment, that by all accounts is totally dominant in the virtualization market. Now, they've actually got an extremely good proposition to build a public cloud with all the technology they own, probably better than Amazon Web Services, to be honest, with their background and pedigree, particularly towards larger businesses. But what they're doing is that they have a huge business dilemma right now, in that they have a lot of partners and channel that use their technology, but do they compete against them or not? And I think they run the real risk of being made irrelevant firms like that, unless they say, well, I'm going to hurt the channel for a bit, otherwise what will happen is that they get wiped out of existence. And you saw Microsoft go through this dilemma about 2 or 3 years ago with the whole Office 365. How does this fit in against selling Office under the traditional licensing programs with software assurance? And there are a lot of people very upset with Microsoft, but they actually did adapt. And I think now, and especially with a new CEO who's keen to increase the momentum even more and actually led the Azure effort in the Office 365, the bits of Microsoft that actually work quite well, I see companies like that really going for it. So you're going to have the people like VMware, HP, etc. face really, really big decisions about their future, and I think they have to go direct to the market because the world has changed. The world is changing too with the whole social media. Is that there is that people want a direct relationship with the companies anymore. Yes, they want trusted advisors who help them do things, but they don't want to have to deal with intermediaries. They want to deal with the people who provide the service to them, and they want it to be seamless. And that's also a lesson for companies about, you know, what do you provide to the consumer. You know, people don't want to when they're setting up their PCs, their tablets, their phones, they don't want to have a horribly separate password system that they have to reconfigure it every time that they set up their device or you know, jump on a friend's device or whatever. They just want to be able to log in with Facebook, Twitter or a Google login. They just want it to be seamless and to shift all their data with them. I mean, it's the sort of thing we're doing at Swiftkey with what we call Swiftkey Cloud, that when it learns about your typing style, if you drop your phone in the toilet, you pick up your next phone, install Swiftkey back again, and then it's carrying on like nothing ever happened. You know, all you've got to do is click on sign in with your Google account, and away it goes again, and you haven't lost anything. And I think that's, as an enterprise, we've got to start thinking cloud-like, because that's what our consumers want. They want it to be able to work seamlessly across devices. I look at a disruptor like Ocado, for example, and you can, for example, you know, you'd be surfing the PC with your PC at night, and you want a grocery order. You think, oh, I want that venison for that dinner party I'm having next week. Click, go and put that on there on the order, and then you just put it there and click it there, and then when you go to do your weekly shop, it's already sitting there when you're sitting there with your iPad, like I do, walking around home, picking up the items there. You don't have to you know, work out, well, I've got to transfer it from this device to that device, I've got to remember to log in here, do that there. And that's the experience that we as enterprises need to be providing to the consumers, and this is where I think the cloud market is going, is providing that seamlessing. And the cloud market, the service providers are going to start removing complexity. I look at where I was with Amazon 5 years ago, where we built everything ourselves. You didn't even have storage, it was permanent, it was temporary storage unless you used Amazon S3. And then to the point where it became a little bit more automated, that you had standard images that you could deploy, to the point now where you're getting platform as a service type tools from Amazon, or you can get them from other people like Azure and from Microsoft, where you're not even worrying about running the individual server and patching it. All you're doing is you're saying, this is what my server contains, and it automatically gets built, so that you're removing the layers of IT staff that you need. So you're removing the people who are having to fix the hardware for a start, then you're removing the people having to patch the operating system and configure it, and then so you're moving up the value chain. And that doesn't mean mass unemployment for IT type people at all. It actually means that we get on and make the smarter, the more creative ideas. And you're seeing that happen in London, the whole Silicon Roundabout type industries popping up. You're seeing people start to talk about listing, your Just Eats, your DeepMind that just got bought by Google for hundreds of millions. You're seeing King.com talking about listing. So you're starting to see that's what's being able to happen, and it's shifting the power from Silicon Valley to wherever in the world people have great ideas. And at the moment, London's a great hub for ideas. It always has been, but now we don't have to invest millions in building our own servers, and we can use what's out there. And that's the disruption that cloud's bringing. And that's, we're only just at the beginning of that journey. You look at the Internet of Things. You look at how devices will talk to each other. And that does bring whole issues around security. Security, I think, has always been at the back of people's mind, but it's becoming more to the front of people's mind with the NSA revelations. And what you're going to see is that people are going to place that at the start of their shopping list rather than at the end, sort of thing. And you're starting to see people like Microsoft, for example, are saying they're having Azure storage and servers which are totally isolated from the USA and will never touch that. And then I think what you're going to see is people are going to keep everything encrypted all the time. So wherever things are stored, that it will be encrypted, and that's where I think there's a big marketplace coming up for potential cloud providers as well, enabling people to make sure that even if the NSA went and physically seized the box away, or the British government or whoever, that they couldn't get access to your customer data, and customer privacy is absolutely preserved. Yeah. So you're thinking about this and you think, how do I actually get started on the cloud today? My answer to that would be just get in and give it a go. To paraphrase Nike, just do it. Things like, for example, Google Apps or Office 365 are dead easy to get started. You can bring it up with a couple of web clicks, a credit card initially, and you can just try it out. The same with Amazon Web Services. Just try it out for a little bit of a project, or try Microsoft Azure or Rackspace, whoever you want to try. Just get in and try it. It's actually, the risk factor is actually very, very low, because you might spend £100 or £1,000 trying out something, but that's a lot easier than committing a multi-million-pound budget to a project that doesn't succeed. When you can get in there and then you can let your staff play with it, and you'll probably find that if you're not doing it as an IT department, that your marketing department's gone and stuck in Salesforce on the side or something like that, or your staff have gone and built their own social network. They've signed up for Yammer, for example, which doesn't even require the IT department to be involved. So I'd say, get in there, give it a go. It's not quite as scary as you think it is, and there's certainly the people out there in the marketplace now who can help you, where sort of 3 or 4 years ago it was a bit of a skill shortage, where now it's starting to get a bit better. So there's people you can talk to who help you out, and yeah, it's an exciting time, and it's only going to get more exciting.